Welcome back everyone. My name is Mitchell and today we are going to show you how you can build your own DIY wildlife pond from start to finish with a simple but effective filtration system that keeps the water crystal clear. Okay, so the first and obvious step is to decide where your pond will go. It's important to make sure it's visible from a lot of angles and viewpoints, and bonus points if you can see it from inside your home or wherever you spend a lot of time. Ted and I did a lot of research at YouTube University on how to build the best natural pond, and our design and inspiration came mainly from a channel called OzPonds. We'll leave a link to their channel in the description. The downside is that you may have to watch a lot of his videos to get a good idea of what and how to build something like this, so to make it easier on you, we'll show you a sketch of our design and how it all works. Let's start at the pump in the bottom right hand corner and work our way around. So the water gets pumped out of the pond, through the water pump, through the pond tubing, and into the bottom of the bog filter, where the water fills the bog filter up from the bottom up, percolating through all the rocks, cleaning the water, creating contact with all those good microorganisms that help filter the water, and then spills out back into the pond through the waterfall feature. The idea is that the water flows from one direction to another, from the bog filter to the pump, creating that circular flow. On top of that, the intake bay works as a secondary mechanical filter, using surface tension to pull floating debris such as leaves off of the surface and into the intake bay, making cleanup a little bit easier. Once we had a rough idea of what we were going to build, it was time to do a lot of digging. Ted and I dug out the entire pond by hand using 2 shovels and a wheelbarrow. Most of the soil went back behind the pond where the bog filter and the waterfall feature are located, and this helped build up the area and made the waterfall feature look a little bit more natural. When you're digging out your pond, it's important to include shelves or ledges that gradually step down in depth, and these serve a few purposes. The first is to prevent rocks, sand, or whatever you're laying on the bottom of your pond from sliding and collapsing into the deepest part of the pond. It also gives you planting zones for aquatic plants. And most importantly, it makes it easier for you to get in and out of your pond because you'll be doing a lot of that, trust me. The liner is one of the most important and probably most expensive parts of the entire pond build, and we sandwich the liner in between 2 layers of geotextile underlayment for protection. So there's a layer on the bottom and then again on the top of the liner. Before we started rocking in, we dry fit the liner to make sure we had enough material, and we used a liner from a vendor called Vivor, and I can put a link to that in the description. It was about $250. Once we had the liner in a good place, we started adding rocks to hide the liner and to hold the liner down before we filled it up with water. You'll almost always have excess liner around the edges of the pond, but you can leave that in for now, at least until you fill the pond up and confirm the final water level. It's better to have too much material than not enough. You'll want to pay close attention to how you fold the liner around the edges of the pond, because this is one of the most common ways for water to slowly leak out. We actually had a few of these and they caused the water level to drop until we corrected them. We were also lucky enough to have a lot of large boulders already on site, which helped create a natural looking edge, but we did have to go to a rock yard to get the small pebble. The bog filter is the heart of this entire system and mimics how natural wetlands clean water in the wild. Water is pumped into the bottom of the filter, forcing it to move upward through the layers of rock and pebble before returning to the pond. That bottom up flow is critical and ensures the water makes full contact with all surfaces of the rocks where beneficial microorganisms live. These bacteria are doing the real work. They break down nutrients, improve water clarity, and keep the algae in check. The result is a filtration system that's chemical-free, low maintenance, and incredibly effective. The waterfall feature took more trial and error than anything else, but it was a lot of fun building it. I actually had to build it a few different times just because water kept sneaking behind the rocks and out of the pond, but eventually I dialed it in and it looks good now. But expect to do some tinkering here. Water will always find a way out. Landscaping was honestly the easiest part for me. The pond gave me a good excuse to use some sedges that I had purchased earlier in the year, namely ivory sedge, Carex eburnia, and blue wood sedge, Carex laxicomus. Together they make a stunning combination, and I interplanted them with some American alum root, blue-eyed grass, and bearberry just to change up the textures. These are all low-growing native plants that will look good year-round, especially the sedges, since they green up nice and early in the year and stay green into the late fall. And I would highly encourage you to consider using native plants in your own landscape. And then there's the main reason why I started this whole pond thing in the first place, my aquatic plants. So currently I have some pickerel weed, native irises, queen of the prairie, arrowhead, and marsh marigolds. All in all, the pond cost just over $500 to build, and half of the cost was the EPDM liner, and I can give you a breakdown of the costs here. Time-wise, it's hard to say exactly how long the pond took to build because we did it in chunks throughout the year from early spring to late summer. That said, if I hadn't gotten sidetracked and busy with other projects around the house and just focused on the pond, I'd say it probably would have taken about a month or so's worth of weekends. Hope that gives you an idea. So first I'll focus on what went well, and then I'll talk about what could have gone better in a second. But I think first off, the water quality and the Bog Filter are doing an incredible job. The water is crystal clear, and I couldn't be happier with it. I would feel very comfortable drinking out of it. The dogs drink out of it all the time, and I've even taken a little cold plunge, a little dip in it myself on a hot day. It feels really good. The rocks and the landscaping, all the different sized rocks just make it feel super natural, and I love it. The waterfall, the sound of the waterfall when I'm working out in the yard is just really soothing and relaxing. And I've actually kept the pump on all winter. I'm recording this in January and the water's still flowing. So it didn't freeze over. I think that circulation really helps with that. And then finally the wildlife. I've had frogs, dragonflies of course, the honeybees. I'm sure a lot of other insects are using it too, and even a salamander showed up, and I was super happy with that as well. Things that could have gone better, I would say I probably should have made the pond deeper because the water level is slightly lower than expected, but it's not a major issue. Also, the intake bay doesn't work as much as I thought it would. It's probably my fault. I probably didn't design it that well, but I'd have to rethink that in the future. All in all, I think it was a great success, and I would highly encourage you to consider adding a pond to your own garden. And if you're thinking about it, just do it. Even a small one can completely transform your space. Thanks for watching. Is there anything you want to say for the camera? We're making some mud soup in our new pond.
There's a dog in my pond!
They're already asking about it, all of our followers.
Are they?
Mm-hmm.
Who,
Like,
Stacy?
tell me how you built your pond, please, Mitchell, please.
Are they?
They are.
Oh.